Hi everyone, we are Group 3, Sophie Soy, and today we are going to take you through the study about dietary supplementation with PHGG in helping to improve constipation and gut dysbiosis symptoms and behavioral irritability in children with ASD. This is our agenda for today. Firstly, we need to understand the problem of gut dysbiosis in children with autism spectrum disorder. Autism spectrum disorder, or ASD, is a neurodevelopmental disorder where the gut-brain axis is emerging as a prominent factor. ASD is well known to be associated with significantly high rates of gastrointestinal problems, with prevalence rates ranging from 9 to 90%, and constipation rates vary from 4.3 to 45.5%, with a median of 22%. Children with autism often have restricted diets due to their food selectivity and distinct eating patterns, which makes constipation more likely. The increase in dietary fiber intake has been recommended to treat constipation in children, apart from increasing their fluid intake and medication. There are some evidence that altering the gut microbiota can help to improve their behavior. Partially hydrolyzed guar gum, or PHGG, is a water-soluble dietary fiber hydrolyzed from the guar bean. It has been proposed to relieve symptoms in constipation, predominant in irritable bowel syndrome, and may have prebiotic properties. Now Brina will go through the previous research and the study design.
Thanks, Huru. So just a disclaimer that the study was partially funded by Taiyo Kagaku company that made the PHGG. Previous research has shown that gut dysbiosis and its effects were found in ASD children, some of which include that the abundance of Faecalibacterium and Blautier were different in Japanese ASD children, and that these bacteria were correlated with expression levels of inflammatory genes in peripheral mononuclear blood cells, PBMCs. Constipation was also found to be positively related to children with ASD. Additionally, prebiotics, probiotics, and diet intervention had an effect on ASD and could improve antisocial behavior when paired with food intervention. Therefore, to see how well prebiotics alone affects the gut and behavior of ASD children, the research question was as follows: to evaluate the effect of prebiotic PHGG supplementation with no food intervention on constipation and gut dysbiosis symptoms and behavioral irritability in ASD children. For the study, 13 children with ASD, aged 4 to 9 years old and living in similar geographic locations in Japan, were recruited. They were diagnosed using both the Pervasive Developmental Disorders Autism Society Japan Rating Scale, PARS, and the Modified Checklist for Autism in Toddlers, MHAT. Before intervention, the child's parents were tasked to record their frequency of defecation for a week and to collect the child's feces immediately before the start of the intervention. The peripheral blood of 9 children was also collected. The intervention was to provide the children with PHGG supplementation at 6 grams a day, dissolved in their food or drink. The supplement was given to them during their scheduled checkups in the hospital, and the intervention lasted 2 to 15 months. After intervention, feces was collected on the last day of PHGG supplementation, and behavior was evaluated using the Aberrant Behavior Checklist Japanese version, ABCJ, at the same time. A total of 12 children's feces were collected. Peripheral blood of the same 9 children was also collected post-intervention. The results were then compared pre- and post-supplementation. Now, Cylene will be going through the results.
Thank you, Brina. So, carrying on with the results, they first looked at any changes in the defecation frequency or behavior of the 13 children after PHGG supplementation. So, if you look at the table on the left, they found a significant increase in defecation frequency the week before the end of the PHGG course. So, we went from about once a week to about twice a week. Then, they looked at the ABCJ scores of the children and saw this significant decrease, as you can see on the graph on the right, in the irritability subscale, one of the 5 subscales of ABCJ. Next, they looked for any gut microbiome changes induced by PHGG. So, they sent fecal samples collected from 12 of the 13 children for 16S sequencing. As for the alpha diversity, they found a significant decrease in Chow 1 for richness and Shannon index for diversity of the gut microbiota. Unfortunately, there wasn't any significant changes in metal diversity of the individual fecal microbiota from this PCA plot. What about the taxol composition of their microbiomes? The plot on the right shows the 9 bacterial genera the team found significant changes in. These included an increase in the Blautier genus that has potential probiotic functions. The ones boxed in red all belong to the family Erysipelatritacea, which has been linked to gut inflammation. Among the bacteria that hadn't been classified, we found an increase in bacterial OTUs that are highly similar to the following species. They likewise found a significant decrease in 16 OTUs, with one sharing a high homology with Bacteroides bovetus, a well-known pathogen. They then looked at the inflammatory profile of 9 out of 13 children and found a significant decrease in IL-1 beta and a general decrease in IL-6 and TNF-alpha. Finally, they performed a correlation analysis with identified bacterial OTUs and defecation frequencies, as well as ABCJ irritability scores. Interestingly, there was a significant correlation of defecation frequency with 3 OTUs also significantly affected by PHGG supplementation, 1 positively correlated and 2 negatively correlated. Last but not least, with 4 OTUs that were genuinely reduced with PHGG supplementation, there was a significant positive correlation with ABCJ irritability scores. Next, Manling will bring you through the discussion.
Thank you, Tai Ling. Again, there were 13 participants in this study. For every one of them, defecation frequency was less than 3 times a week, but after consuming PHGG, the 9 children who previously only defecated twice a week had their frequency increased to more than thrice, and the other 4 children had their defecation frequency increased from once to twice a week. PHGG helped in lowering the volume of gut microbiota and altering its makeup. There was an increase in OTU9, which was positively associated with defecation, and lowered levels of OTU75 and OTU146, both of which were associated with constipation. Because the research suggests that PHGG is able to alleviate constipation by improving gut dysbiosis through alteration of gut microbiota, it seems probable that the results may be applicable to individuals without ASD, even though the study was conducted using children with ASD. One factor for ASD is brain inflammation, which can either be caused by systemic inflammation triggered by serum exposure to pathogens from the gut or from neuroinflammation of the central nervous system. PHGG is able to relieve leaky gut symptoms, thereby preventing pathogens from entering the blood circulation and coming into contact with PBMCs. This would reduce systemic inflammation, which would in turn lead to reduced brain inflammation. In this way, perhaps ASD behavioral irritability can be minimized. Next, we move on to implications. Though the decrease of irritability may not be as much as can typically be achieved by antipsychotics, it must be emphasized that the results were not achieved through medication, which can potentially lead to more side effects, but rather through PHGG supplementation, which is naturally derived. Beryl will now take over with the critique and suggestions.
Thank you, Manlin. I will now discuss some critiques we have about this study and provide suggestions on how we can further improve the study design. Firstly, there was a low number of study subjects and unequal distribution of gender in this study. A total of 13 subjects were enrolled with only 1 female subject. To increase the number of study subjects, we will suggest collaborations between hospitals in Japan or with the Autism Society Japan. Next, there was incomplete follow-through of sample collection. Serum samples were only collected from 9 study subjects, and this could have led to less significant results. The period of PHGG consumption was also varied. For this, we suggest fixing the duration of consumption such that equal amounts of time are given for PHGG to take effect, if any. Fourthly, there was a lack of a placebo group. This could mean that the true effects of PHGG could have been overestimated. We suggest conducting a random, double-blind, placebo-controlled study in place of the current one. We will now be discussing some other possible confounders. Firstly, food intake was not controlled for. Food has a profound impact on our gut microbiomes. For example, natto was found to help alleviate symptoms of chronic colitis and alter richness of gut microbiome. Hence, we suggest that the diets of study subjects should be controlled for with food diaries or fixed food menus. Lastly, social demographic variables. Studies revealed that household income significantly affects families' quality of life. Thus, we suggest household income levels to be a selection criterion. To conclude, we recognize the potential of PHGG as a dietary supplement to improve constipation, gut dysbiosis, and behavioral irritability in ASD children. However, there are refinements to be made to provide a more holistic review of the effectiveness of PHGG. Nonetheless, in real-world research, practical limitations such as money, time, cooperation of study subjects, ethical issues, and bureaucratic red tapes are possible limitations that could complicate the research. Well, science never solves a problem without creating 10 more. We believe that PHGG may one day be an effective therapeutic agent in the treatment of ASD symptoms in children. Thank you.